Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2003 World Food Prize Laureate Ceremony. The program is ready to begin. Please take your seats and enjoy your gala evening. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2003 World Food Prize Laureate Ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being our guests for the 2003 World Food Prize Award Ceremony. Please welcome our special guests. Representing the past World Food Prize laureates, 1987, M.S. Swaminathan. 1990, John Niederhauser. 1991, Nevin S. Scrimshaw. 1993, Hay Khan. 1995, Hans R. Herren. 1996, Gurdev Kush. 2000, Evangelina Villegas. 2000, Surinder K. Vassal. 2001, Per Pinstrup Anderson. 2002, Pedro Sanchez. 'From the World Food Prize Council of Advisors, A.S. Clossie. 'Gregory Joffrey. 'Robert Havener. 'Dean Kleckner. 'Pekka Linko. 'Jonathan Taylor. The Deputy Executive Director of Operations of the World Food Program, the Honorable Jean-Jacques Grace. Lieutenant Governor of the State of Iowa, the Honorable Sally Peterson. The Acting President of the Iowa Senate, the Honorable Stuart Iverson. The Speaker of the Iowa House of Representatives, the Honorable Christopher Rance. The Administrator of the U.S. Agency for International Development, the Honorable Andrew Natsios. The Minister of Agriculture from the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency Dr. Wilberforce Kisamba Mugarwa. The Secretary of Agriculture of the United States of America, the Honorable Ann Veneman. Nobel Peace Prize laureate and one of the founders of the World Food Prize, Dr. Norman Borlaug. The Vice Chairman of the World Food Prize Foundation, Mr. John Ruan III, and the President of the World Food Prize Foundation, Ambassador Kenneth M. Quinn, escorting this evening's guest of honor, the 2003 World Food Prize laureate, Catherine Bertini. The Governor of the State of Iowa, the Honorable Thomas J. Vilsack, and First Lady Christy Vilsack. You may be seated.
In any language, hunger is an ugly word. There is no music in hunger. The rumble of empty stomachs, the monotonous whine of a child wasted with disease, the moan of the mother whose baby lies bloated and still in her arms. Hunger is the listless dun of apathy, bread of weakness, the faded brown and gray of dead leaves after autumn has ebbed.
In the last century and a half, 160 million people have died of famine and starvation. Despite great technological advances, our world is still beset with dramatic contrasts between abundance and want. The prospect of continued human suffering due to droughts, crop failure, and famine remains with us even at the beginning of the 21st century. The World Food Prize was created to inspire and recognize exceptional individual breakthrough achievements, achievements which are necessary to alleviate such human suffering by increasing the quantity, quality, and availability of food. For only with such accomplishments and a concerted global effort will all those in need ultimately be able to provide for themselves life's most basic necessity, adequate food and nutrition,
eliminating the tragic contrast between poverty and prosperity. The story of the World Food Prize revolves around the vision and generosity of two men, Dr. Norman E. Borlaug and John Ruan, both of whom began life in 1914 in small towns in the U.S. state of Iowa. Dr. Borlaug's distinguished scientific career led him to extraordinary achievements in increasing wheat yields. And in 1970, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his role as the father of the Green Revolution, which prevented severe food shortages and famine in many parts of the world. Since the Nobel Foundation has no prize for food or agriculture, Dr. Borlaug envisioned an award like the Nobel Prize to honor individuals who are confronting the critical issues of food security and poverty alleviation. And thus, in 1986, the World Food Prize was born. The prize was first awarded in 1987 to Dr. M.S. Swaminathan for his critical role in spreading the Green Revolution in India through the introduction of high-yielding wheat and rice. Since then, laureates have been recognized from a wide array of countries. Their accomplishments, a diverse array of breakthrough achievements, include the development of miracle rice in the Philippines, doubling the world's rice production, the establishment of microcredit enterprises in Bangladesh that enabled women to rise out of poverty, the development of high-protein maize in Mexico to counter chronic malnutrition in children, the eradication of cattle plague and crop pestilence in Africa, and implementing the policy framework which moved China towards self-sufficiency in basic food. The World Food Prize sees itself as a partner in the great global effort articulated by the leaders of the world during the United Nations Millennium Summit to eliminate the contrast between abundance and want, and to turn poverty into prosperity, sorrow into joy, and pain into promise.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the World Food Prize Foundation, Ambassador Kenneth M. Quinn.
Good evening and welcome. We began tonight's ceremony with a poem in any language, read wonderfully by Marco Grimaldo, Bread for the World, one of the organizations that has come here this week for our dialogue. The poem was written by Lucille Wilson. Some of you might ask, is she a noted Iowa poet? And Lucille Wilson is the person who runs Hunger Hike in Des Moines. Last Sunday, Lucille Wilson was out on the steps of this Capitol handing out maps as 500, 600, 700, 800 people came to walk against hunger. Somebody who spent her life struggling against hunger here in our country, here in our state, here in our city. And she is able to create what I think is a beautiful poem because she feels inside her, as does Marco and many others, all who are here tonight, that need to struggle against hunger. And it's very appropriate that we're here today on October 16th, United Nations World Food Day, and Norman Borlaug World Food Prize Day in Iowa, to have this discussions. For the World Food Prize was created to recognize, inspire, and educate about the desperate need in the world for adequate food for all. And so we would not want to have the ceremony without beginning and by reminding ourselves of the seriousness of this subject. But it's also right and appropriate that we recognize those who have done great, exceptional breakthrough achievements, as our laureates who are here tonight and our new laureate, who we will recognize. For only with that inspiration can we hope that our struggle against hunger in the 21st century can be successful. As you saw from the video, the World Food Prize was created, inspired by Dr. Norman Borlaug and other members of our Council of Advisors who are here tonight, Al Clossy, Bob Havener, all present at the creation with Dr. Borlaug. And the prize, though, was almost lost until the Ruan family stepped forward to save it and bring it to where I believe it belongs, here in Iowa. And therefore, on Norman Borlaug Day here in our state, it's only appropriate that at the beginning we take 1 second in our ceremony to recognize one of our heroes, one of America's heroes, one of the world's heroes, Nobel Peace Prize laureate, Dr. Norman Borlaug. Dr. Borlaug, would you come up? Governor and John, would you like to line up? I think for all of us at the World Food Prize, if we could have one wish tonight, it would be that John Ruan Sr. and Betty could be here with us. And the ceremony's being recorded, and we'll take the tape to them first thing tomorrow morning so they'll be able to see that and see how the prize that John reached out and rescued has grown and developed. And I know his heart would sing if he could be here tonight. So I'd like to ask you if you would be good enough to send him your greeting through John Ruan III, and to ask John Ruan III to come forward and accept your applause on behalf of the Ruan family for all that they've done to make the World Food Prize what it is today. John? Now, the World Food Prize, of course, benefits from many associations, but we have one other crucial partner in what we do, and there wouldn't be a World Food Prize without them, and that's the state of Iowa. The state of Iowa has reached out and embraced the prize, and through previously Governor Branstad, now Governor Vilsack, the state legislature, it's one of those things that brings both political parties together. And so therefore, it's my great honor to introduce to you and ask you to recognize our governor, Governor Tom Vilsack.
Thank you very much, and welcome to this great House of Representatives, in this great capital, in this great state. Tonight, we celebrate, acknowledge, and extend gratitude to greatness in a single individual who has affected and made a difference in the lives of children and people all across the globe. It is fitting in our state that we pay tribute to greatness, and that we do so in the context of the World Food Prize. Someone once said that greatness lies in those who have the heart of a child. That must explain why a great Iowan like Herbert Hoover traveled to 57 different countries to try to address famine in the early 1900s. It must be that child's heart that explains why another great Iowan, Henry Wallace, decided to test the wisdom of the day and led to the discovery of hybrid seed, providing hope to millions. And it is indeed the heart of a child and I would suggest a twinkle in the eye, that has motivated Dr. Norman Borlaug, the father of the Green Revolution, to save not just thousands, not tens of thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but millions of lives. It is an Iowa tradition that food, combating hunger, and greatness intersect. And tonight we are here today to award the World Food Prize. And it is my responsibility to read a portion of the proclamation making that award. I do so proudly on behalf of all Iowans, on behalf of all those who have compassion and concern for the world and for the children of the world. And each of us here tonight shares for just a moment in that greatness. The proclamation that awards the World Food Prize reads in part as follows. Whereas the laureate and her staff have provided life-sustaining food to hundreds of millions throughout Africa and Asia, Latin America and the Middle East, parts of Eastern Europe, toward ending severe malnutrition in North Korea, preventing starvation in Afghanistan, and averting large-scale deaths from famine in the Horn of Africa. Now therefore, I, Thomas J. Vilsack, Governor of the State of Iowa, do hereby proclaim the Undersecretary General of the United Nations and former Executive Director of the United Nations World Food Program, Catherine Bertini, as the World Food Prize Laureate for 2003. Catherine, welcome to Iowa. Welcome to our small part of greatness, and thank you for contributing to it and to us.
It's only when the governor does that and issues his proclamation that we can begin the real ceremony. So thank you, Governor. I don't know, someday I'm worried I'm going to come here and he's not going to do that and we won't be able to proceed, and I don't know what I'm going to do then. But John Ruan and Norman Borlaug have a second partnership beyond the World Food Prize. They got that saved and moving forward. And they said, you know, as we look around, we see that the youth of today are not as connected to the land as they once were. And it's not just in Iowa, it's in many places in the world. And they need to be a mechanism to reconnect them. And so they had an idea and they said, while we do the World Food Prize, why don't we have a youth institute? We'll invite some high school students to come and to be here and to meet the laureates. We might even ask them to write a paper about this. And it started with a handful of students from a handful of schools. And it's grown all across the state, and it's grown across our borders into Minnesota and South Dakota. I know, Senator McGovern, you'd be pleased about that. And Senator Boschwitz into Minnesota and Nebraska. I guess we don't have anyone from Nebraska, but we're welcoming them as well. And it's then grown to foreign students. And we have students from the International School of the United Nations International School in New York and the International School of Washington, D.C. And we have 10 students from Nigeria who are here with us, and students from Mexico and Brazil and Venezuela joining with Iowa students. And they're all going to present their papers on Saturday. And if you can imagine what they must be thinking up there, they see here's Norman Borlaug, and they're going to have to present the paper to him and all these experts in the world. And I'd be worrying about my grade if I were them and that. But I want to introduce to you the members of this year's Youth Institute and ask them to stand up, and if you would join with me in welcoming all of our Youth Institute members for 2003. Please stand up and let us recognize you. But you know, teachers or the students wouldn't get there without the teachers. And they brought teachers with them, and we have some teachers here. And I'd like to ask the teachers stand and be recognized so we can show you our appreciation for what you do. And I see President Greg Joffrey of Iowa State University and our Council of Advisors looking over very carefully. This could be several potential candidates for admission. But the hope of the World Food Prize Youth Institute is that through this we can inspire, educate and inspire, and maybe find a future Norman Borlaug, John Ruan, or Catherine Bertini for the future. So watch.
And met with farmers, policymakers, and agricultural researchers throughout Mexico.
I traveled to Madras, India, and worked at the M.S. Swaminathan Research Foundation.
I spent time in Kenya, Africa, at the International Livestock Research Institute.
I was sent to IRRI, the International Rice Research Institute in the Philippines. It's one of the greatest things I've ever done.
What has so deeply affected these students was their involvement with the World Food Prize Youth Institute. Students who participate in this innovative program share a unique experience, a challenge, an opportunity. As each learns more about providing the world with a secure, sustainable food supply and about the alleviation of malnutrition, poverty, and human suffering, each comes away with a new motivation, a new perspective. A logical outgrowth of the World Food Prize, the Youth Institute was established in 1994 by Nobel Peace Prize laureate Dr. Norman E. Borlaug, father of the Green Revolution, and businessman and philanthropist John Ruan. In October of each year, the Youth Institute provides a 3-day, all-expenses-paid educational opportunity and forum for high school-age students. Enrolled students interact with Nobel and World Food Prize laureates and are exposed firsthand to an array of experts, facilities, and organizations relating to food security. Each participating school designates one student and one faculty member to attend the Institute, which occurs in conjunction with the annual World Food Prize activities in Des Moines, Iowa. Student and faculty teams are responsible for preparation of a discussion paper, which is presented by the student before a panel of World Food Prize laureates and members of the Council of Advisors. Discussion, interaction, and presentations by guests and officials enhance the intellectual experience. Youth Institute participants are then eligible to be selected for World Food Prize international internships. These 8-week summer experiences offer the opportunity for students to serve around the world at prestigious international research centers in countries such as the Philippines, Peru, Mexico, India, Kenya, and Indonesia. Unlike other study abroad programs, students actually participate in the research projects with world-renowned researchers while getting a first-hand view of real food and nutrition issues in developing areas. Each student becomes an integral part of the project, spending time in the lab as well as days or weeks in the field conducting research and gathering data. At the beginning of the new millennium, Dr. Borlaug, Mr. Ruan, and Youth Institute interns were formally introduced to and recognized by the state legislature of Iowa.
And so I know I speak on behalf of everyone from the World Food Prize family, thank you for your support over the last 10 years to our efforts.
The generous financial support of the legislature, the Amundsen Foundation, and other sponsors will allow the Youth Institute to achieve a new level of mission and vision to become a global youth institute, attracting young people from around the world. When John Ruan founded the Youth Institute, it was with a strong belief that providing young people with an opportunity to shape their own futures might just inspire a future Norman Borlaug or World Food Prize laureate to pursue great achievement in his or her life, to help eliminate hunger and malnutrition from our world.
You never actually understand or feel what these people are actually going through until you go to the villages and you go and see what is going on.
You'll find that every student will claim that this experience has really changed their life, has changed their goals and their career path. The World Food Prize has made the best investment in the world.
You see, after you go through the Youth Institute for 3 days, you're eligible to become a Borlaug Ruan intern. And we sent last year 12 Iowa high school students for 8-week experiences working as intern assistants at major international agricultural research centers around the world. We have with us tonight approximately 17 or 18 of the 50 students that we have sent since this program began 6 years ago. And of course, the internship is named in honor of Dr. Borlaug and John Ruan. Let me ask the Borlaug Ruan interns to stand up in the balcony, and if you could welcome them as well. They usually come back and say, it's been a life-changing experience. And so I want to urge all of you current Youth Institute students, you who are here for the first time in 2003, to watch carefully a little bit later when there's a video about the life of our laureate, because she had an exactly same life-changing experience when she was just about your age. And you'll be able to see tonight what that transformation can mean. So watch carefully. Now, those Borlaug Ruan interns, when they come back, part of the deal is we send you over and pay the expenses. You've got to write a paper for us and about your experiences. And that is to tell us what you've done in terms of the science and the social science, and tell us what you've done about your cross-cultural experience and the contact that you have and how you've come to understand other cultures and helped people of other countries understand us. And from that, we select 2 winners. Those judged to be the best, have written the best paper. And at this ceremony, we present them 2 awards. And I would like to, at this time, invite Janice Ruan to come up and make the presentation of these awards. It's wonderful to have Janice Ruan doing this because she represents the entire Ruan family and John Ruan Sr. and the commitment that they have made to youth education. The first award we're to give is the Amundsen Intern Award. The Amundsen Intern Award is in honor of Roberta Amundsen. She grew up in Perry, Iowa, moved away, was in a successful family, and never forgot her hometown. And she came back to Iowa. She's refurbished a wonderful hotel up there. This is not a commercial message, and that called the Hotel Pati, and it's worth the trip going up to spend there. That Minister Kasamba Mujera they have an African room up there that I spent the night in with a large statue of an African hunting scene with a man with a spear. And I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning with somebody there with a spear. It was very startling. But Mrs. Amundsen has provided enormous generosity to keep the World Food Prize Youth Institute going and expanding. And she has committed to us over $380,000. And so this award is in honor of her and in honor of her commitment and her family's commitment to fighting hunger and poverty. And the award this year is given to Adrian Richardson. So Adrian, if I could ask you to come up. Adrian Richardson, I was the wrong side here, is a graduate of... Adrian is a graduate of Preston High School, currently attending Southwestern Community College in Preston, Iowa, majoring in biology, minor in biotechnology, and considering a pre-veterinary studies. His internship was spent at the soybean unit of the Brazilian Corporation of Agriculture Research in Londrina, Brazil. He researched the effects of various soil fauna on agricultural tillage methods. You're always interested, Dr. Borlaug, in tillage methods, I know. And he concluded from his research that a layer of organic surface litter increased soil fauna populations, subsequently improving soil fertility and crop production. I know Dr. Pedro Sanchez, our 2002 laureate, paying particular attention to this. And he experienced the hospitality of Brazil through his Brazilian host family and his Embrapa mentor, entomologist Dr. George Brown. So please, again, join with me in congratulating Adrian Richardson for his award. Adrian, come over and stand. Why don't you get one picture with you? Stand right up by the... No, yeah. Our second award is the John Crystal Award. John Crystal is a great man and a great friend of John Ruan Sr., great friend of Governor Vilsack. And he was a very strong partisan politically, and a very strong humanitarian wherever people were in need. And inspired by what was possible when Premier Khrushchev visited the Garst farm in Coon Rapids in 1959, taking that step through food to help diffuse tensions and build international peace, John Crystal spent his life working with Soviet, Russian agricultural specialists in the Ukraine and other countries in Eastern Europe. And wherever he went, he made friends, and he diffused tension, and he helped build peace. And when he passed away, shortly after, he and I sat and talked about what the World Food Prize could be, and I didn't know him that long, but he was an inspiration to me. We wanted to have something that would capture and preserve his incredible desire for peace and building international understanding. And so we have the 2003 John Crystal Award. This goes to Kathy Stallo. Kathy? Kathy is a graduate of Ottumwa High School. She investigated the importance of improving rice yields at the International Rice Research Institute Crop, Soil, and Water Science Division in the Philippines. As a role as a Borlaug Dialogue intern, she examined the role of rice as a vital component of the country's livelihood. Able to have an overview of various areas of rice in the gene bank lab, out in the rice fields at harvest time. I always put the interns to work in the fields. And she mastered the use of instruments such as the porometer. You'll have to tell me later what that is, and I'm a political scientist. In addition, she had the opportunity to participate in a valuable rice production course for the last 2 weeks of her rotation period. She's a freshman at the University of Florida. She flew back here last night to be here majoring in biochemistry, and she, through her actions and her paper, exemplified those characteristics of John Crystal. Kathy Stallo, congratulations. We have endeavored over the last several years to join the arts with food science in the struggle for hunger. We've commissioned poems, paintings, a symphony to be written in honor of Dr. Borlaug, because hunger is also about music. And tonight it's my great pleasure that we have the Simon Estes Singers and the Vocal Arts Ensemble of Des Moines under the direction of Carol Stewart to convey to you, through the power of music and voice, the issues of hunger and poverty.
Hungry and thirsty, thirsty and hungry, hungry and thirsty, thirsty and hungry, hungry and thirsty, thirsty and hungry, hungry and thirsty, thirsty and hungry. She will come across the dark sky. Mighty rainbow, sing your song for me, that I may find the top. Horizon.
We are the youth of the Rainbow Nation. All of our hopes are pinned on you. Natural health and inspiration, just for the future of South Africa. We've come so far to celebrate. Let's not forget those who died on this day, because nobody stays forever young. Our time will come, this time around. We are the youth of the Rainbow Nation. All of our hopes are pinned on you. Natural might and education, just for the future of South Africa. Just for the future of South Africa.
Oh, you are hungry and thirsty, thirsty and hungry, hungry and thirsty, thirsty and hungry, hungry and thirsty, thirsty and hungry, hungry and thirsty, thirsty and hungry.
Moon, high young moon, when the sun rises, you must speak to the rain. Charm her with plants and honeycomb, oh, speak to her that I may drink this little thing, that I may drink, that I may drink, that I may drink. She will come across the dark sky. Mighty rainbow, sing your song.
South Africa.
Thirsty and hungry, hungry and thirsty, thirsty and hungry, hungry and thirsty, thirsty and hungry.
Aren't they wonderful? Carol Stewart, the Simon Estes Singers, and the Des Moines Vocal Arts Ensemble. It was wonderful music, meaningful song. But even in a way beyond the music, linked us tonight between Africa and Iowa. The three members of the Simon Estes Singers who are here are from South Africa. They came here with Simon Estes, wonderful Iowan we're so proud of, magnificent opera singer. Wonderful plaza downtown on the river in his honor. And he brought African singers here and formed a choir. And they have stayed, and they go to college now. Simpson, Fort Dodge, here in Des Moines. And through their voices tonight and that music helps us link our World Food Prize celebration to those areas of the world where hunger and suffering are most extensive. If you listen carefully to the music, they talked about you are hungry, you are thirsty, and a rainbow come over the horizon. And the rainbow, the end of it would be not a pot of gold, but hopefully food and water. And that she would come. And the song was meant for this celebration because more often in the last decade, when she headed the World Food Prize, the World Food Program, that hungry and thirsty people look to the horizon would be our laureate and her staff, represented here tonight, would be coming with food and with water and with help. And it's the perfect introduction to the story of why she has been chosen our 2003 World Food Prize laureate.
Famine, starvation, and death have stalked humankind throughout history. Whether caused by drought, disease, pestilence, or human conflict, millions have perished when they could find no food. Famine knows no geographical boundaries. From South Asia to Africa to Ireland, stories of acute suffering and large-scale deaths have been all too common. But now, for the first time in history, thanks to the vision and leadership of the 2003 World Food Prize laureate, the international community possesses the capacity to rush life-saving food anywhere around the globe, dramatically rescuing millions facing starvation and agonizing death. Born in central New York, our laureate grew up with a passion for music and dreamed she might one day be a professional musician, playing clarinet with a symphony orchestra. But when she was a teenager, her father Fulvio's run for election to the City Council of Cortland, New York, awakened in her an interest in government. That led to her attending a summer camp on public affairs. It was a transforming, life-changing experience, one that instilled in her a conviction of the power of public service to alleviate the problems confronting society. And while music continued to be an important part of her life, that summer camp experience inspired our laureate to pursue political science at the State University of New York at Albany, and led to her first job in the office of New York Governor Nelson Rockefeller. From New York, our laureate's career path took her to Chicago, first managing government relations and philanthropic affairs for a major American company, and then a foray into politics in an energetic but unsuccessful bid for election to Congress. After a fellowship at the John F. Kennedy Institute of Politics at Harvard, our laureate moved to Washington, D.C., where she came face to face with the issues of poverty and nutrition. Her appointment by President Ronald Reagan in 1987 at the Department of Health and Human Services was followed by a position as Assistant Secretary of Agriculture. Those experiences brought our laureate into contact with women affected by government food programs. In that process, she learned that giving women more control over their food sources enabled them to provide better nutrition for their families. In 1992, then-President George Bush nominated our laureate to be the executive director of the United Nations World Food Program in Rome. 5 years later, President Bill Clinton, impressed by her superb performance, renominated her for a second term. It was in this decade that our laureate spearheaded the change that would bring about an historic breakthrough achievement in confronting large-scale famine. Under her leadership, the UN World Food Program was transformed from essentially an agricultural development agency into a logistical juggernaut, able to move large amounts of food great distances in a short period of time, making it the largest and most responsive food relief organization in all history. This change came at a critical moment, for during her tenure, our laureate was confronted with seemingly endless humanitarian crises. Hurricane Mitch in Latin America, drought in the Horn of Africa, floods in Mozambique, severe malnutrition among refugees in Kosovo, acute hunger affecting over 1/3 of the population in North Korea, and civil war in Afghanistan all created extraordinary needs for emergency food relief. Over 50 million people faced hunger and starvation. Yet in every instance, our laureate and her dedicated World Food Program staff were able to successfully confront famine and prevent large-scale deaths. UN Secretary General Kofi Annan praised our laureate and her staff for their critical role in getting food to 16 million people in the drought-ravaged Horn of Africa. Subsequently, our laureate faced an even more challenging task in getting food to 9 million people on the brink of starvation in Taliban-controlled Afghanistan as winter closed in. Former President George Bush, a member of the World Food Prize Council of Advisors, said she and her staff worked a logistics miracle in getting emergency food aid to millions in that mountainous country. And wherever she has worked, our laureate has been a protector of children. Under her leadership, 3.3 million North Korean children were rescued from severe malnutrition by a special feeding program she initiated. Believing that food assistance could be a key to keeping children, particularly young girls, in school, our laureate worked closely with Ambassador George McGovern in implementing the U.S.-sponsored Global School Feeding Program that helped improve the health and livelihood of 16 million children in 64 countries. As a result of the changes she made, the World Food Program has become known around the world for its ability to get assistance to those desperately in need, delivering food by whatever means necessary. At our laureate's direction, the World Food Program repaired the transportation infrastructure in the Beira corridor of southern Africa, rebuilt the Georgia-Armenia-Azerbaijan railroad line, carried out the largest humanitarian airdrop in history in the Sudan, and even delivered food on the backs of elephants and mules when circumstances demanded. But if you were to ask our laureate what her most important achievement was, she would likely say it was her decision to channel international food aid through women to ensure widespread and effective distribution. Relying on that insight she gained when talking with poor women in America a decade earlier, our laureate came to understand
that if we can empower women who are the people in every society who manage the food in the household, if we can empower women and give women the food and the options to manage that food, that we will be able to decrease hunger in every community, in every family, and in every country.
As a result of this innovative change, more than 60% of all World Food Program assistance is now delivered through women. Our laureate is also a forceful advocate for women's rights. She has increased the number of senior positions filled by women at the World Food Program and has championed opportunities for women in developing countries. For example, in Afghanistan, she put Afghani women in charge of World Food Program bakeries, providing bread for the poor and hungry. When the Taliban issued an edict that women could no longer be employed and ordered the bakeries closed, our laureate responded forcefully by halting all food shipments to the country. The Taliban quickly backed down, and the bakeries stayed open. The tragic deaths of numerous UN staff members have brought into sharp focus the fact that the United Nations agencies and personnel are on the front lines of the global battle to defeat poverty, hunger, and famine. But despite the danger and difficulties involved, in the 10 years our laureate led the World Food Program, the agency saved more people from starvation and death than any other organization in the world, and delivered life-sustaining food aid to over 700 million people in more than 100 countries. For transforming the World Food Program into the largest and most responsive relief agency in the world, Secretary General Kofi Annan selected our laureate to be the United Nations Under-Secretary General for Management in 2002. And now, in 2003, it is most fitting that the young woman who once dreamed of a career in music and who has now reached the pinnacle of a career in public service be recognized with the foremost international award for increasing the quality, quantity, or availability of food. For her exceptional humanitarian achievements, for giving the international community for the first time in history the ability to confront famine anywhere in the world, and for the inspiration she provides to young girls and women from America to Asia and from Africa to Afghanistan, the 2003 World Food Prize is presented to Catherine Ann Bertini.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2003 World Food Prize laureate, Catherine Bertini. Present the award, World Food Prize Award, to Catherine Bertini, be Dr. Norman Borlaug and John Ruan III, and to be witnessed and assisted by Secretary Veneman, Minister Kasamba Mujera, Jean-Jacques Grace from the World Food Program, Namanga Ngoni from the World Food Program, Senator Boschwitz, Senator McGovern, Andrew Natsios, the Administrator of U.S. Agency for International Development, and Governor Vilsack. I think we have enough people to do the heavy lifting. Secretary, move in a little bit. I would like to ask Secretary Veneman if she would like to say a word.
Well, first, I'd like to say congratulations to a special friend on an award very well deserved. And I'd like to read a letter. Dear Catherine, congratulations as you are honored with the 2003 World Food Prize. During your term as Executive Director of the World Food Program, you have helped bring food and comfort to more than 700 million people hungry because of poverty, conflict, drought, or flood in more than 100 countries. I salute your hard work and dedication to end hunger around the world. I also appreciate your efforts to help parents recognize the link between nutrition and a child's ability to learn. Your compassionate service to others is an inspiration. Laura joins me in sending our best wishes. Sincerely, George W. Bush.
We'd now like to invite our laureate to the microphone.
Ever since I was in high school, I wanted to do something to make a difference. Somewhere, sometime, someplace. I didn't know what it would be or what it could be. But I believed that that's why God put me on this earth. To the governor, Dr. Borlaug, Mr. Ruan, Ambassador Quinn, the Council of Advisors, with all my heart, I thank you for awarding me the World Food Prize. One of the many things it stands for is personal, and that is that in a dramatic way, it affirms that I did find a way to make a difference. But in joining these illustrious men and women who are laureates, they're brilliant scientists. They're people who have done incredible things around the world. My contributions are different because my contributions are a part of organizations. Anything I've achieved with a group at Health and Human Services, at USDA, and at the World Food Program. And it is with the staffs of all three of those organizations and with governments, with legislatures, with non-governmental organizations as partners that we have been able to achieve what's being talked about tonight. I've been part of a massive effort of like-minded people who have worked very hard in order to ensure that poor people get some of the support that they need and that hungry people get some of the support they need so that their hunger could be alleviated and ultimately ended. In particular, I share this award tonight with the 8,000 plus staff members of the World Food Program. Those people whose commitment, whose creativity, whose dedication, and whose bravery have helped keep millions of people alive, help children to grow, help make people find a total difference in their community because they do have access to food. You know that I grew up in central New York, and the values that I learned from my parents, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, my teachers, I found when I came to WFP that there were people with the same kind of values who grew up in Cameroon and in Belgium and in Tunisia and in France, in the US, in Myanmar, in Singapore, in the Philippines, in Morocco, in the UK. And I found that all of us working together could put those values on the table and make a difference for hungry people around the world. We found each other, and in a way, we found a way together to make a difference. But none of us got to that table alone, and in my case, I got to that table because of my parents first and foremost, who gave me a purpose in life, who taught me about right and wrong, and who you couldn't live in their house without understanding excellence and trying to seek to be the best that one could be, and to appreciating the love and encouragement that they gave us. I couldn't be here now without my husband, whose own sense of strong values and patience and understanding and support helped sustain me in our 15 years that we've been married. And I couldn't be here tonight without mentors who got me involved in politics, in government, in different jobs in government, in the World Food Program, and in so many other places, and from whom I learned so much. And I could never even exist without the love and support of friends, many of whom are here tonight, but friends who sustain me constantly. And my family, my extended family, some of those people are here tonight too. So I feel very warm being surrounded here by our partners, and here in the room tonight, and those who aren't able to be with us tonight, because together we made a difference. But together we have so much more work to do. Tomorrow when I speak, I'll talk more about how I intend to donate the prize. But the purpose of the prize, this generous cash that the World Food Prize gives to each laureate, is going to be for the same purpose that I earned it, that we all earned it. And that is to go to help reach people, to help end their hunger. Because although we've organized a great institution, our work is not done. And none of our work will be done until ultimately there's not a hungry person left on this earth. To the World Food Prize and to all of you, thank you so very much.
Governor, nothing. Reach over and pull the microphones down. Just push them. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Catherine, following your moving words, we have one more present for you, and that is a song. John Denver had a very special place in his heart for the World Food Prize, and he wrote a song about the work of all the laureates. It was a song about their efforts to combat hunger and that struggle. That song belongs to all the laureates, and now it belongs to you. Catherine, you have truly turned pain into joy and sorrow into happiness. Congratulations again to our 2003 World Food Prize laureate, her family, and her colleagues from the World Food Program who have joined her up here. One more round of applause. Be careful, you'll fall off. Yes, be careful. We don't want to lose anyone. That's it. The fire marshal only let us in here if we said at the end of the ceremony, I asked everybody to stay in place so as the official party exited, and that so we could all get out. And that. So if I could ask your indulgence to a second while our laureate, the governor, and the official party would leave the chamber, and then I would invite everyone to come down and join us for dinner and celebrating. So, please, yes, I have to. Yes, yeah, Governor, I think let's go ahead. You can go this way. Either way.